we are reportedly just days away from a peace deal to end the Ukraine-Russia war for good. Security guarantees have allegedly been agreed to. Strong Article 5-like security guarantees. Tomorrow, an Oval Office meeting will happen between Volodymyr Zelensky and President Trump. Trump inviting the big EU powers to attend, including UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and NATO Chief Mark Rutte, to attend this meeting and help nudge Zelensky in the right direction. The war hawks in D.C. freaking out, bringing massive pressure to bear to kill the peace process. We're hearing, look, a deal could be days away here. China also furious about this. And big news out of Jackson Hole, coming soon from Jackson Hole. We'll get into that and more stories as well from around the country.
We agreed to robust security guarantees that I would describe as game-changing. We didn't think that we were anywhere close to agreeing to Article 5 protection from the United States, in legislative enshrinement within the Russian Federation, not to go after any other territory when the peace deal is codified, legislative enshrinement in the Russian Federation, not to go after any other European countries and violate their sovereignty. So we agreed to, there was plenty more.
President Trump using very real political capital to end the Ukraine-Russia war, something you'd think would be popular. Ending a war should be a good thing. Yet in D.C., the Ukraine war is like sacrosanct, and Putin's the Antichrist. Anything but a full Russian surrender, just unacceptable, even though nobody has a plan to achieve that. What we're hearing is Russia's prepared to now relinquish pockets of Ukrainian land that they currently occupy in exchange for territory in the east of the country, in the Donbass, land that Moscow has been unable to obtain, unable to capture since the start of the war. Trump telling Sean Hannity after his Putin summit, his Alaska summit, that they discussed land transfers and security guarantees, and that they largely agreed, saying, I think we're now pretty close to a deal. At this point, it's up to Ukraine to get it done. Ukraine now is a starting point for a deal on the table. All they need to do is agree, make some reasonable counteroffers, and this could be done.
There are a lot of points. I mean, a lot of points we're agreed on. But there's not that much. There's, one or two pretty significant items, but I think they can be reached. Now it's really up to President Zelensky to get it done. And I would also say the European nations, they have to get involved a little bit. But it's up to President Zelensky. I think we are, and if they'd like, I'll be at that next meeting. They're going to set up a meeting now between President Zelensky and President Putin. And myself, I guess, I didn't ask you about it. Not that I want to be there, but I want to make sure it gets done. And we have a pretty good chance of getting it done.
The media this morning trying to present tomorrow's meeting as an ambush on Trump. That Zelensky invited the EU, the UK, and NATO to help push Trump in the right direction. No, that's not what happened at all. From what I understand, the US and the big EU powers are in agreement here. They're coming to push Zelensky, to nudge Zelensky in the right direction.
There is concern from the Europeans that President Zelensky is going to be bullied into signing something away. That's why you have these European leaders coming as backup tomorrow. Can you
No, it isn't. That's not why they're coming as back. That's not true. No, but that's not why that's not true. They're not coming here tomorrow to keep Zelensky from being bullied. They're not coming.
February Oval Office meeting
here
in front of television cameras where President Zelensky.
Do you know how many meetings we've had since then?
Oh, no, I know. And I was just up in Alaska watching the one with Vladimir Putin where a red carpet rolled out.
No, but with Zelensky, we've had more meetings. We've had one meeting with Putin and like a dozen meetings with Zelensky. But that's not true. They're not coming here tomorrow to keep Zelensky from being bullied. They're coming here tomorrow because we've been working with the Europeans. We talked to them last week. There were meetings in the UK over the previous weekend.
And they said President Trump was going to demand a ceasefire
as early as Thursday. No. But you said that they're coming here tomorrow to keep Zelensky from being bullied. They're not coming here tomorrow. Oh, this is such a stupid media narrative that they're coming here tomorrow because Trump is going to bully Zelensky into a bad deal. We've been working with these people for weeks on this stuff. They're coming here tomorrow because they chose to come here tomorrow. We invited them to come. We invited them to come. The president invited them to come.
And President Trump's acting as the mediator, getting Putin and Zelensky to the table with the precondition that both sides understand you're not going to get everything you want. That's not how a deal works. That's not how negotiation works. It's about compromise. That's the job of a mediator, and nobody else has the track record or credibility to get both sides to the table.
Critics of President Trump will say the pomp and circumstance, the red carpet, the warm handshake, that President Trump simply lost that Putin gained there just by being on the world stage and walking down a red carpet with the president. Your reaction to that?
Well, I mean, critics of President Trump are always going to find something to criticize. You don't even pay attention to it anymore. But I will tell you this, Putin is already on the world stage. He's already on the world stage. The guy's conducting a full-scale war in Ukraine. He's already on the world stage. So the president has invested a lot of time in trying to bring an end to this war. He deserves credit for doing that. He gets criticism for doing that. He could have just let this war go on. The president could have just said, this is Biden's war. It started under him. We'll do what we can for Ukraine, but we're going to focus on other things. He could have easily said that. But he's the only leader in the world that can get Putin to a meeting to talk about serious things.
If all goes well, it's possible we could be days away, a week away maybe, from the end of the Ukraine-Russia war. Now, that doesn't mean at all that everyone's happy about it. Quite the contrary. There are many unhappy people here, so many interests at play, so many people who benefit from the continuation of this war. The big U.S. military contractors, for instance, raking in huge cash flow since 2022 because of this war. They have huge contracts now in the works with NATO should this war continue, and you also have China and India who lose huge if this war ends. And we saw it come through loud and clear this morning, using their stooges in the press to argue against peace. U.S. mainstream media arguing for this war to continue. You can't make this up. Watch.
Can you name one thing that President Trump is asking Russia to give up in order to get peace?
And to see how easy it is for Putin to manipulate Trump psychologically by doing these obvious things. Oh, sir, you know, you won overwhelmingly in 2020. And of course, I wouldn't have invaded Ukraine if you were president.
And so I don't have very many positive things to say about him because there aren't really any positive things to say about him. What he's doing is objectively bad for the world.
Keep in mind, the people who have been nonstop all weekend long, the people who have been most critical about Trump's pursuit of peace are the same people who've been wrong for the last 40 years, been wrong about every single foreign policy issue. Whatever these people say, we should just do the opposite. CNN even rolling out Mike Pence, former Vice President Mike Pence, to argue against ending the war.
What do you make of all that? I mean, there are observers out there, people who like Trump, people who are rooting for Trump, who think that Trump got played.
Well, look, I served alongside the president for 4 years. I know his style in dealing with these dictators. It's the velvet glove, but I think the hammer needs to come, and it needs to come immediately.
Everything now riding on what happens tomorrow. Can Zelensky be nudged in the right direction? He's got a chance to end this war. Will he take it? Let me know what you think. And all of this happening right before the Jackson Hole Economic Symposium. All eyes will be on that meeting. Central bankers from around the world gathering in Wyoming this week. Stephen Moran's appointment to the Fed. Not just any other bureaucratic shuffle, folks. It's the opening shot in what could be the most explosive gold bull market, I believe, personally, in our lifetime. Stephen Moran has been crystal clear. A weaker dollar is the path to competitiveness and debt relief. We've been saying this for months on this channel, that the Trump administration under Scott Bessent has been purposely devaluing the dollar. A monetary policy that has turned sharply in gold's favor, and with markets already betting big on a September rate cut, the fuse is now lit. 5 U.S. states have now made gold and silver legal tender, an unprecedented political revolt against fiat currency. And globally, central banks, led by a ferociously aggressive Russia, are buying gold at a pace the world hasn't seen in decades. And the ultimate catalyst, governments are openly discussing a revaluation of gold, repricing it talking about repricing it higher to instantly strengthen their balance sheets and crush their debt burdens. Again, all eyes will be on Jackson Hole this week. All right, that wraps up the news portion of this video. Now let me tell you about the sponsor for today, AXCP Ventures, ticker GARLF, which ties directly into everything we've been talking about. I can probably count on one finger the number of companies where management kept buying stock on the open market month after month at a pace that looked more like a takeover battle than ordinary insider accumulation. AXCP Ventures is the one. And in 2025, it's as if they're rewriting the rules on insider conviction, in my opinion. I want to set the stage right off the bat. I am bullish on AXCP Ventures. Since the start of the year, insiders over there have been purchasing over $1.2 million worth of stock, and they're still adding more. We're seeing 5-figure tranches bought at prices even well above the current market value. So what is driving this? The Converse gold deposit in Nevada, one of the largest undeveloped gold resources in the U.S., with 5.57 million ounces measured and indicated and 0.42 million ounces inferred. At AXCAP's current enterprise value of around 26 million USD, the resource valued at just $5 an ounce compared to peer averages of around $40 an ounce, a discount of 85%, and Converse has never been evaluated above $17.50 an ounce gold. This is a key point, folks. It's been on the shelf for a decade. The previous owner did no drilling, and now with majors facing record low reserves and record high market caps and cash balances, it stands as one of the very few multi-million ounce first world deposits available to replenish senior miner stockpiles. AXCP Ventures has a decisive advantage. Its flagship Converse gold deposit sits in Nevada's Battle Mountain Trend, one of the premier gold belts on the planet. Responsible for 75% of U.S. gold production, Converse is actually the largest gold deposit in Nevada, not already controlled by a senior producer. And the cost to re-drill the 78,000 meters of work already completed by its previous owners in the past would be about 47 million USD today, not including metallurgy, permitting, engineering, or landholding costs. Yet AXCAP's enterprise value right now is just 26 million, around 26 million USD. It's crazy. Only 29 new deposits have been found since 2010. Lead times from discovery to production now average around 20 years. And moreover, AXCAP has initiated a fully funded preliminary economic assessment, a PEA, for the project, a critical step toward quantifying value and advancing development. The exploration team as well just got a major upgrade. Blake Mclaughlin, who previously served as chief geologist at Argonaut Gold before its acquisition, is now on board, bringing deep technical expertise to guide the Converse project forward. Also, remember, this is Nevada. It's trading near all-time lows with insiders buying relentlessly and with a resource that is valued for well below its peers. So do your own research on them. Always do your own due diligence. All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.